What do you get when you cross a great pint with great conversation? You get my new video podcast series, A Pint and a Chat. I'm loving what I'm going to be doing here over the next several weeks. What I'm going to be doing is going to local businesses in the East End, which is where I live and where I call home, and talking to businesses about why their business is successful in our community. Why am I doing this, you're asking? I'll tell you. Because that's the first question I get asked by buyers. Every time I'm showing buyers homes in the community, the first question they ask me is, well, what are the bars like? What are the restaurants like? What are the shops like? What are the schools like? What better way to answer those questions than by meeting with the local businesses, talking to them, sitting down with them, having them tell our community why their business is successful. I'm telling you, you cannot miss this series. It's going to be great. We're going to go into a number of bars, pubs, shops, every time with a pint, and every time getting answers straight from the horse's mouth. Please tune in. You will not be disappointed. Hey everybody, how you doing today? Here we are, week 2 of my video series, A Pint and a Chat. Today we're at Breakwall, as you can see from behind me. One sec here. But unfortunately, the person I meant to chat with chose to cancel on me last minute. I'm talking about Shane Ryan, the owner of Breakwall, who is a great guy and I consider a friend. I've known him for over 20 years, but unfortunately, the bar is slammed downstairs and he's in the kitchen cooking copious amounts of meats and everything else. So he said, can we do it another time? Which left me on the hook because I'm still paying my videographer regardless. So I figured, you know what, let's just go upstairs and shoot something. So here we are up here shooting next to an empty chair. Now, I know you're going to ask next, well, why the fuck are you doing this then? And the answer would be simply because I said to my daughter when Shane canceled on me, I'm like, what am I going to talk about? And my daughter, in all her wisdom and glory, looked at me and said, well, Dad, if I was going to buy or sell a house, I'd want to know that I can trust you to do it. So why don't you talk about yourself? First off, let me say this. There are a lot of great agents in the East End. I mean, I have great working relationships with a lot of them. Where I live and work in the beaches, there are some fucking rock star realtors who I have great relationships with. And I am in awe of how I see them help their clients. The difference between me and them isn't so much that though. It's that, I'll tell you straight up, I'm not even supposed to be here. Like, I was a lost cause growing up. I grew up in the East End, born and raised, but I was in and out of trouble with the law. I was in and out of detention centers. I spent significant amount of time in my youth incarcerated. And I think part of that taught me that I have to work extra fucking hard to do better and be better. And I've made it a point over the years when I made that decision in my life to say, fuck it, that's not who I am anymore. I need to be better and do better. I decided to go all in, work 110%. And that's what separates me from others, is no one's going to outwork me. No one's going to outwork me. I make a point of ensuring that I'm working harder than others because I have to, because I have a point to prove. You know, true story. When I decided to make some changes in my life, on a bet, I got into Thai boxing. A good buddy of mine, we lived together, and he was in Thai boxing, Muay Thai, and he went to Buffalo and had fights. This is like the early 90s, so another lifetime. And he won his fight and he brought a tape, VHS, that's how long ago it was, of his fights home. And one of the fights was this guy, Kirk Jones, a heavyweight fighter, big ass motherfucker who beat the shit out of his competitor, out of the guy he was fighting. And I made a joke saying, I can beat that guy. He isn't that great. And my friend said to me, there's no fucking way in hell you can ever beat that guy. If you ever got into doing this and you ever decided to do this as a sport, that you would be able to beat this guy. And I'm like, all right, how much you want to bet? So we made a bet, $100 bet, that should that ever happen where I was able to fight him, that I would win. So I actually started training literally the next day. Had 4, 5, 6 fights, and then by that time he was the Canadian champion. And we fought in Montreal for the Canadian title, the Canadian amateur heavyweight title in Montreal. I'm not gonna lie, I was scared shitless, because when you look at this guy in person, he was like, I'm 6'4", but at the time I was like 190 pounds. This guy was 6'4", 215 pounds, and he was just fucking muscle and big and scary looking, and he had fucking hooves for hands. But no one's gonna outwork me. I've been in the gutter. I've lived this life where I've always had to work harder. So I knew he didn't outwork me in training. I knew that he wasn't in the gym at 10 o'clock at night when I was. I knew that he wasn't up at 5 o'clock in the morning when I was doing my run. I knew these things already. So I was confident in my abilities. I was confident in in my training and preparation that I did to get to where I was. And that fight, don't get me wrong, he hurt me. I was in pain, but I won. I won that fight. I won the Canadian amateur heavyweight title. I went on to fight for a North American title. I went on to fight for a world title. No one outworks me. I make a point of that. I make a point of it because I have to. That's just who I am. It's in my nature. And it's from the lessons I learned, the stupid shit that I did in my past, that has made me who I am today. So as much as I have numerous amounts of respect for some of the other realtors out there in the East End and the beaches I have drinks with, we have pints together and everything else, I just know no one's gonna outwork me. I know that if I'm helping you sell your home, I'm gonna do more than others because I have to. That's always just the way it's been, because that's the only way I know how. I'm rambling on about myself, and you're probably thinking, shut the fuck up, but I'm gonna continue a little bit longer. As you can see, there's a chair empty. So I gotta fill this time up anyway, because I'm still paying my videographer, regardless of the fact. Shane, I'm hoping we'll be sitting down soon. He's doing heart surgery or some fucking thing, who the hell knows. But I guess I'll just throw it out to Hagup, who's doing the video here. Hagup, listen, do you have a question for me?
I actually have a question.
Ask away.
I actually heard about your past for the first time, and I want to ask, how are you so genuine? How are you comfortable by sharing your past? Most agents show their best part in their life. They advertise their best things. Why do you feel responsible to bring out your past and talk about yourself, regardless what it is, whether if it's a good or a bad?
I mean, fair question. Part of me doesn't want to. Like, part of me is scared to. Like, it's scary opening up. It really is. Like, I mean, I don't know how many people are going to watch this. It could be 20. It could be 20 million. It could be 2,000. Who the fuck knows? But it's scary opening up to people because you don't know how people are going to take it. I guess where I come from in my whole way of thinking is that the shit that I've done in the past kind of brought me to where I am today. And I'm proud of that. Like, I'm proud of the person I am now. You know, I have a wonderful wife. I have a beautiful little monkey, my daughter, who's 13. I try and be a good person. I support my local community by doing shit like this, you know, sitting down with people and sitting down with local businesses and everything else. And I feel that all the stuff that I've done in my past has kind of brought me to where I am today. And as hard as it is to talk about these things, because it is difficult, it's who I am. So why deny it? I guess that's where I am with that, if that makes any sense.
Wow, Derek, thank you so much for sharing that. But wait a minute, you talked about the world title. What was it like to fight for the world title? Can you share more about that?
Sure. I mean, it was a chance of a lifetime. After I won the Canadian title, we had a rematch in Michigan, which I won again. And then from there, I ended up fighting this guy, Tim. I can't remember his last name to save my life, unfortunately. And it's unfortunate because he just passed away not too long ago. I think 9, 10 years ago, he passed away, and he was a really good guy. But him and I fought for the North American title, and he was in Kitchener. And we fought for the North American title. I lost on a split decision. I honestly thought I won that fight. And so did the majority of the people there watching the fight, because a lot of people were booing. So a rematch was set up. And as I was training for the rematch, my trainer, manager, Ed, came up to me and said, listen, Mike Miles in Calgary has this guy, Kerry Dell. He is set to fight a guy from India for the world amateur kickboxing title, not Thai boxing, kickboxing, something I wasn't as familiar with. And he said, do you want to fight him or do you want to fight for the North American title? I'm like, fuck no, let's go all the way. Let's fight for the world title. So we changed up our training techniques and everything else, because now there's no longer knees and clinching and elbows involved. It's strictly kicking and punching only. So we trained for that fight. We trained hard for it. And the guy that I fought, Kerry Dell, an amazing fighter, an amazing guy also. I mean, like afterwards we went and we had a few pints together. He was a good guy. But he was just a better fighter on the night. I trained my ass off, but he just had a shit ton more experience than I did. And I guess my life lesson is that no matter how hard you train or how tough you are or how prepared you are, you're not going to win them all. And that's okay. As long as you put your fucking head down, body straight, and keep moving forward. That's what I took from that, which was a great experience again. So that's that. Great experience. The largest crowd I ever fought in front of. I think there was like 6,000 people there for the fight. It was over the fucking top. And a great after party. But anyway, good fight, good experience, but I lost anyway. But fought for a world title. How many people can say that? There you go.
Wow, Derek, holy shit, that's something amazing to hear. So, how do you want to close this up? Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
All right, so in closing, listen, in future, obviously I want to be sitting next to someone, having a chat with them about their business and why their business is successful here in the East End. That didn't happen today, but you got to learn a little bit more about me, and that's fine. But in saying all that, your support is needed. These videos that I do, they obviously take time, they take money. So your support is so needed for me to continue, because I want you guys to understand why the East End fucking rocks, man, and why it's a great area. Like, I'm born and raised here. I live and work here. I love this community, and I want you guys to understand why I do as well, and why the businesses that are in here, why they love it. So we'll be back in a couple weeks. Please like, subscribe. Any comments, questions, concerns, throw them out there. If you don't like this episode, write a comment. I'd like to know why. If you do like it, write a comment. I'd love to know why. Or if you have an idea about a business in the future that you think would be great, please let me know as well, because I don't want to leave businesses out. I want these businesses to, one, promote themselves, because I think that's important. The whole point of this is to promote local business, shop local, support local, but also why that business is successful in our community. So please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Support, subscribe, whatever the fuck you can do, you'd be greatly appreciated. Enjoy the rest of the week. Cheers.